but also deserving of good risk judgment and things like that.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it
I saw that too.
is exposed climbing. And I'm
Yeah,
sure people get into trouble fairly frequently thinking it's just a walk in the park.
I had no idea actually that there had been so many accidents on it until I read that as
Yeah.
well. Um, I would never climb it without. I have not ever climbed it.
Without protection, yeah. I mean,
Um,
for some people, it's just like a weekly ritual, you know?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even think like when I'm out on the trails because they're so front country, but they're they're so like some of them are pretty burly.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
see like these families that go out, and I'm like, oh my God, you had no idea what you were like coming, what this was gonna be, you know?
Totally.
Um,
Hey, Corey.
Hey there.
Do you want to make sure that you're recording on your end?
Yes, it says that it's recording. So
Yeah, and I've had this happen before where someone's note taker comes on and it shows that it's recording, but in fact, um, it's not recording the whole video, so it helps to be redundant.
okay. So with the note taker, make sure I'm recording, or the Zoom webinar, make sure
Just
I'm.
go to the Zoom record function at the bottom of the screen.
Okay. Yeah, it says that it is pause, stop recording. Let's see. And recording. So it says that it's
All right,
recording. Yeah,
cool.
seems good.
Um, so it'll end up either on your computer personally or in the cloud, and we'll just uh, make sure we have that accessible for anyone who couldn't make it.
Sounds good.
Also, I have a couple slides. So I don't know if you need to change
Yeah,
the settings so I can actually so I can share them when it's my turn.
Yeah, whenever that time comes, you should just be able to hit share if I'm and correct me if
When
I'm
I
wrong.
click it now, it says sharing is not turned on.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
but she can send a request.
Yep, I can send
Yeah,
a
so
request.
do that.
Okay,
Hey Kurt, good to see you.
Hey guys.
There you should be allowed.
okay, cool.
And Kurt, you'll need to send a request to share if you want to share your screen if you have anything to share.
No, I was just going to talk to it. I mean, last time was limited, so I just think I'll speak to it.
Okay.
Great. So I think you both, well, first of all, thank you so much for doing this again. It went so well the first time. We thought we'd bring you back for an encore. Um, Danny and I will do some sort of table setting at the beginning, talk about what we've done thus far and the purpose of this group. And probably after 15 minutes or so, we'll pass it over to you to present. We'll go for 5 minutes apiece again and follow that with some Q&A. And uh, depending on how long the Q&A goes, I also just have some good open-ended discussion questions as well.
Awesome. And then will I go first again? And then
Yeah, great.
okay. So I'll have the slides. So it worked great last time, it felt like.
Mhm.
Yeah, because most of your slides were appropriate for me too. So I was like,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good
did
team
it.
effort. Hey, Danny.
Hey everyone.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, how are you all? It's good to see you all again. Thanks for taking the time to join us again. This is great work.
Again.
My halo is going away. I have this like shining light that makes me look angelic, which is a rare thing.
Totally. Yeah, I do my presentations in front of a window, and right about this time, I tend to get beamed in the face. But I think we're late enough in the year that I'm spared today. And Corey, are people just coming in, or are you having to admit them manually from the waiting room?
They're just coming in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Joel, you're lucky. We're gonna start charging you if you keep it.
You might have to. That's fine.
Well, hey folks, thanks for joining. We'll give it a minute for people to filter in, but thanks for taking time out of your Thursday to chat about outdoor rec workforce development. This will be a great chat. And Corey and Danny, that was a really fun webinar earlier this week.
Thanks so
Good
much
turnout
for
and
hopping
nice
on.
conversation.
I felt really energized after that, and just, the attendance, the way, yeah, it just works so well.
Awesome. For the sake of time and knowing that all of you have very precious schedules, I'm going to dive right in, and folks will join as they will. Um, but again, thank you so much for joining today for this kickoff call of the broader Outdoor Rec Workforce Consortium. Our goal today is to let you behind the scenes on what the consortium steering committee has been driving thus far, what we have planned, and to hear from some experts in the field who are doing innovative workforce development partnerships. And before we get into that, I thought it'd be helpful to kind of set the stage for the moment that we're in and talk about outdoor recreation across the country. And that starts with the news. If you, like me, have been reading the news related to outdoor recreation in recent years, you know that something is different now than it was before. Uh, Certainly induced by the COVID pandemic, but also, I think, supported by a broad recognition of outdoor recreation's role in physical and mental health. We're seeing millions more get outdoors than ever before, and not just get outdoors in the day-to-day, but also moving to places that provide high quality outdoor recreation access in the midst of a more remote or hybrid economy. And this is great from the perspective of the outdoor industry, but it also offers us a challenge, which is to harness this momentum and invest in the success of the outdoor rec economy, not just for the next 1 to 2 years, but ideally for the next decade plus. And in my mind, that starts with a stable outdoor recreation workforce, which is why we're so excited to be on the call with you all today. I would be remiss not to include this headline from today, from outside, that cites recent data from the Outdoor Industry Association, which noted record-breaking participation in the outdoors in 2024. 180 million Americans got outside in 2024, according to their research. That's 58% of the country. If you talk to Kelly Davis, who's the data person at OIA, she says we're trying to beat caffeine, which is 73% of Americans enjoy caffeine, and we're on the right track. But again, this offers us a great opportunity in terms of supporting and sustaining the outdoor workforce and programs like yours. My name's Chris Perkins. I'm the Vice President of Programs of the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ORR, the collection of logos you see here represent the full spectrum of outdoor recreation activities. That's hiking, climbing, skiing, camping, hunting, fishing, boating, motorized, RV, hospitality, horseback riding, you name it, all under one roof, including state offices of outdoor recreation and colleges and universities dedicated to growing and supporting the outdoor rec economy. And this structure is powerful for two reasons. One of which is that it enables us to speak with a unified voice on the benefits of the $1.2 trillion outdoor recreation economy to leaders at the federal and state level. Illustrate that when we invest in outdoor recreation infrastructure or workforce development programs, we're not just improving physical and mental health, but we're actually supporting and sustaining local and state economies. The second reason this is valuable is it provides us an internal forum to convene various recreation interests and conversations like these, where we can strategize around issues of importance and set a North Star for the entire industry to follow. And so that means we show up. We show up in federal testimony. We show up with governors. We work across party lines with anyone who is willing to support and sustain the outdoor rec economy. And we work to expand recreational access to improve infrastructure, conserve public resources in service of this outdoor rec economy growth. One of those key focal points has been the workforce. As I mentioned, I don't think we have a stable outdoor recreation economy without a stable outdoor recreation workforce that is supported greatly from programs like yours. And so if you go to ORR's Outdoor Recreation Workforce Hub, and I might ask Corey to do a quick search and put that link in the chat, you can see some of the research and tools and resources we've contributed to the growth of the outdoor rec workforce. which have set up well for the Outdoor Rec Workforce Consortium that is convening today. That includes career path profiles from real experts across the outdoor rec industry on top. It includes a career map of, in my estimation, almost every outdoor recreation workforce program in the country, whether that's a college, university, or trade school. And I'd encourage you to look at this map and see if your program is represented so we can ensure that it makes it to that map. And it also includes our roadmap for an outdoor rec workforce and the opportunities identified in that roadmap are things we're going to get to chat about today. So here's our agenda. We're going to do some quick intros in the chat. I have a flash poll of all of you to see what's on your mind in terms of your program sustainability and workforce priorities. Danny's going to talk about the origin of the consortium, and we'll talk about some of the work we've done to date. We have two amazing guest speakers today who are on the leading edge of outdoor workforce development programs. We're going to share a little bit about what they're doing. We'll have some open discussion, and then we'll talk about next month's Outdoor Economy Conference, where the consortium will meet in person for the first time, and we very much hope that you're able to join. So, introductions. I'm noticing a lot of familiar names on the call, a lot of folks who I admire greatly. We'd love for you in the chat to share your name, your organization, and the top issues and opportunities that you see for outdoor workforce development. And as you're doing that, you all are academics. You know that there's no substitute for great data. And in the chat right now, I am putting a workforce consortium survey. So you might have to scroll up a little bit to see the link. We want to get a sense of what's on your mind. And so this survey that you're seeing has probably 14 or 15 key topics. And we're asking you to rank them in terms of importance or urgency to your program. So please open that survey now. We're just going to do like a 2-minute flash poll, and then we'll share the results and see what trends come out of that survey. Again, that's in the chat. So if you scroll up a little bit to my contribution, you should see the link to that survey. And we'll spend the next minute or so inputting your perspectives. And love seeing all the comments in the chat as well. I'm presuming that everyone has found their way to that survey. And as you're inputting your perspectives, I'd like to pass it over to my friend and colleague Danny Twilley, who, along with Corey Lilly, is the other half of this awesome consortium that we've put together. And Danny is going to talk about both the origin of this consortium, including our partners at Oregon State University Center for the Outdoor Rec Economy, and what we're hoping to get out of it in the next year and change. So, Danny, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I know we covered a little bit of this previously, but again, I think it's important that we always remember what we're trying to accomplish. So the origin of this really came out of our friends at Oregon State University. You saw some of the partnership work that they did on some research and studies, but they really were the ones who kind of seeded this idea. They spent a tremendous amount of time, probably with many of you on this call, doing one-on-one interviews around your program, what you all were facing, what opportunities you saw, and kind of the alignment. And part of the outcome of that was seeing is there a need for this type of consortium to exist in order to advance? They came back with a resounding yes, but they also recognize that capacity is limited, and that's where they reached out to us and said, "Hey, could you all help, work with ORR to kind of start again, continuing to build the foundation?" If I would say it, building like a house, they found the property, they cleared the land, we're building the foundation right now on what this consortium can do in the long term. So as part of it is the in-person gathering. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But it is at the Outdoor Economy Conference, and kind of bringing us all together for just a couple hours to again start strategizing on what this will look like from a long-term sustainability and funding standpoint as well. The collaboration is really as part of this call, and Chris and ORR have been really great partners in terms of what they've already been doing and getting higher ed and industry connected. But it is really thinking about who's doing what, who's doing it where, how do we share best practices, and having calls like this really align with number three, and that's that education component. And that's where we're fortunate to have Arian Kay and Curtis here with us today to kind of show what they've been doing in terms of creating some of, I'm going to use the word, this lexicon of skills and desires that we need in the modern workforce to meet the industry demands. Part of it is communication that we're really looking for as well, is how are we, communicating our work? What does that look like long term? That's right now we're doing that via email. That might be enough for us. Do we need something more sophisticated and structured? That's what we're hoping to suss out through this. And then we're, ultimately going to lean in towards the end. Chris, you stop sharing your screen. If that's intentional, that's fine. But it did stop sharing. And then really is one of the other ones is that we're going to start looking towards funding. If we all at the end of this feel that there is a need to continue this work, our team is committed to working together to figure out how to fund something like this into the future. And I think some of the where we're headed with the group, both the steering committee and the larger group, we're feeling like we're getting in a better position to do so.
Thanks, Danny. I was looking through the survey results. Did you also
Oh,
talk about Kate and her team at OSU's role in putting this together?
yes.
Yeah, I'll just echo the shout out to Kate Portia, who's on the call, and the dynamic team at Oregon State University's Center for the Outdoor Recreation Economy, who we've worked with for years at ORR. They really were instrumental in incubating this concept of the consortium and have been just an excellent partner in both workforce and programmatic development. So big shout out to Kate. So let's look at these initial responses. N equals 17 out of the 25 on the call, though there are many more than 25 out in the world, of course, doing outdoor recreation workforce development. So I'm going to go through each of these categories and then open it up for any sort of comments or expansion on what you're observing. So between medium and high urgency and importance is faculty expertise and retention. Higher, perhaps some of the highest urgency and importance is program funding and long-term financial stability. Squarely medium is policy support and accreditation standards. Very high is ensuring relevance of curriculum to industry needs, which I think is great justification for this consortium to exist. Medium is availability of hands-on and field-based learning opportunities. Medium to high is the integration of conservation science with outdoor recreation. Medium to high is affordability and financial aid. Medium to high is strengthening recruitment pipelines, whether that be high school engagement or elsewhere. Medium to high is improving diversity, equity, and inclusion. Medium is providing better student support services. Medium to high is improving partnerships with industry and nonprofits. Medium to high is ensuring internship and job placement opportunities like reliable pathways. On the high side is improving the public perception of outdoor recreation, so it suggests a communication and marketing opportunity for us. On the medium to lower side is managing changing regional demand, and then on the lowest side is something else. Would anyone like to comment both on either on any of the trends that we've observed in this data or provide clarity on their something else ranking? I'll just open it up to the group. Kate.
Hey guys, nice to see everybody. I just wanted to echo what you were saying, Chris. I marked the hearing from industry, what their needs are, as very high. And I love that that ranked that way with other folks because as an ex-economic and workforce developer, we can't do this work in a vacuum. And so really clearly understanding the needs of industry to me is our path to success. So thanks for doing the survey. That's great.
Thanks, Kate. Joel, I'm sure there is a way to see that entire set of results.
If I may say something, Chris, I mean, so thanks, Danny and Chris and everybody for getting together, and thanks to OSU for the initial work on the consortium. I'm just wondering, I just want to take a look at everything so we could see if there's any sort of relationships with others, because likely people are thinking, at least I was thinking about all of the different pieces to the outdoor economy and how they might interact, and then trying to rank them and look at them knowing that they're interdependent.
Yeah, Danny, Joel, I'll send all the responses in one place after the call so that you can
That's great. Thanks.
dive yourself. I'm able to look at it all in one from my view, but the words aren't popping out the way that they did when I was screen sharing, so it'll just take a little finagling, but I can definitely do that for you. Any other comments on like what is either motivating you or keeping you up at night with your programs? Perhaps linked to what we just saw. Kelly.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, something that we're keenly aware of is building the workforce, right? Getting students interested in our programs and reimagining, redesigning how we're talking about this field as a viable career path. So I think that is keenly on our minds and attracting students into this so we have continuous leadership in this area.
That's something I think about a lot, Kelly. I imagine the conversation around the dinner table when a student tells their parent or parents, I want to work in the outdoor industry. And what response does that elicit? For some parents, it might be a really positive response because they know about the work-life balance enabled, they know about the quality and impact of the work, about the resilience that one might gain through outdoor rec jobs. For other parents, that response might be negative. It might seem like an unstable career that doesn't offer sufficient wages to live in certain places. It might not seem like a quote unquote real job. And we're trying to move the conversation, I would argue, toward the former versus the latter, but that takes a lot of hard work because there's intergenerational perceptions about the quality of certain careers. And I think it really takes all of us. So thank you for that contribution, Kelly. I appreciate it. Joel, did you have one more thing to add?
Yeah, I mean, something that's very close to my mind right now is, and having just sent on Sunday my first child to college, is thinking about return on investment. And knowing the trends of both the enrollment cliff and understanding that there are fewer high school graduating students, and that the choices that students have post graduation are more than certainly when I had going to college, not only with degrees and college and university opportunities in the four-year university system, but many other 2 years technical, non-university, other kinds of job and career training opportunities. So, and thinking about the level of potential debt load that students have to take on, and also looking at first destination careers And also understanding, right, when you talked about perceptions, Chris, in thinking about who are often the chief influencers and the chief financiers. And this is going back to parents. And oftentimes in thinking about their perception and also their validation in career as well as degree choices. And so something that has been, more that is coming out more and more now with undergrads, and this is across different fields, is how do you maybe create and support the outdoor economy programs that are part of a degree stack as opposed to a standalone degree. And so more and more students are taking on majors, double majors, minors, double minors, triple minors, adding certificates in order to make themselves competitive, but also understanding that, of course, that the outdoor economy isn't always like the finite set of skills, right? You can be an accountant and work in the outdoor economy. And so there are many other ways to think about the outdoor economy and workforce in maybe less defined or sort of more traditional degree avenues. And that's something that I've been working on with some others.
Great contribution, Shoal. Something I think about from the industry perspective, any sort of degree or certificate comes with a certain element of risk for the student. You are not guaranteed a great job just by completing a program. However, industries can do work to de-risk certain programs, certificates, degrees by validating that those degrees are timely and important to the industry, and ideally by providing stable career paths or stable entry points from that degree or certificate into the workforce. So, from the perspective of ROI, I think there's an onus on the industry to put some effort into that so that students, when making this choice, have a better sense of where they're going to be at the end of that 1 year, 2 years, or 4 years than they do now. So that's definitely a motivator for me. Really good discussion. I want to just keep the agenda flowing here. I've referenced the steering committee for the consortium, and many of that steering committee is on today's call. It's the University of New Hampshire, Denver University's Leadership in the Outdoor Rec Industry Program, Northwest Arkansas's Community College, University of Arkansas, Oregon State University's Center for the Outdoor Recreation Economy, National Park College, the J. Kemmerer Worth Institute at the University of Wyoming, Brad and Alice Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative, and the Warner College of Natural Resources at Colorado State University. The focus and the work that we are doing in the consortium is driven by this steering committee. And not only that, they are also full-fledged members of ORR in terms of connection with our industry partners, up-to-date info on federal and state policies, work with state offices of outdoor recreation, etc. So I did want to point this out in case any of you are interested in joining this steering committee and helping drive this work and becoming a member of ORR as well. The steering committee has met 3 times now, and in those conversations, we've been very lucky to have some excellent guest speakers come and talk about ongoing workforce development programs in the industry. And today we're going to hear from Aaron and Kurt. We're also working on a skills matrix, and I want to talk about what this looks like. So I think all of you are probably familiar with certain industries that have done a really good job identifying the skills that are acquired at different stages in a career path. So I'm thinking of law enforcement or nursing or folks who become lawyers, etc. Students who go into those programs know going in, speaking to Joel's point about ROI, how many years they're going to be in that program, what skills they're going to acquire, what sort of careers they'll be eligible, and how much it will cost. We've done some of this, I would say, in the outdoor rec workforce, but we have an opportunity to do this across the outdoor recreation economy to speak to the career paths that intersect between different segments of the outdoor rec workforce. So we're building a skills matrix, and the goals of this are several. We want better alignment, so to ensure that the existing outdoor recreation academic and trade programs produce up-to-date curricula and job-ready candidates at different career stages. We want to improve hiring and advancement by providing employers with benchmarks for evaluating prospective candidates, employees, as well as help workers understand what skills are required to enter, grow, or specialize within the industry. We want consistent quality with increased consistency across organizations and geographic regions to make credentials and training more portable. We want industry recognition, awareness, and growth for the outdoor rec economy. We want to demonstrate that our sector of the economy is professional, we're organized and investment worthy, including from federal and state workforce development programs. We want to continue to build an outdoor workforce for all by clarifying what's required for success, making career pathways more transparent and navigable, especially for underserved populations. We also want to help breed innovation. We think that if we better define baseline skills, employers and educators can more confidently experiment with new methods, technologies, or roles. So this is an ongoing project and will be one of the first deliverables from the Outdoor Rec Workforce Consortium in the next several months. And that brings us to today's guest speakers, Aaron Kay, the Executive Director of the Professional Trail Builders Association, and Kurt Hemmler, the President of the RV Technical Institute. I think both of the programs that these two work on are awesome. And so we've invited them to speak for 5 minutes apiece, as they did to the steering committee a couple months ago, about the problems they're trying to solve, what they've done, and what they've observed. So they're going to speak for 5 minutes apiece, and then we'll have some Q&A afterwards. So I'll pass it over to Aaron Kay.
Great. So I'm just getting my screen to share. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Awesome. So thanks for having me again. So I'm the Executive Director of the Professional Trail Builders Association. We represent private sector companies and kind of the whole gamut of trail development, from the builders, the planners, the designers, the people who write the permits, kind of the whole element. So we saw this need in 2019, and I'm not going to go through all this, but I just wanted to share we were like, there's multiple organizations working on this kind of how do we have more trail training? How do we have more alignment? And then ultimately, how do we have kind of inspire that next generation of trail professionals? And so this was, kind of where we started in 2019, kind of our gap analysis. And really, it seemed like trail competencies were the foundation of all of it. So at the same time, Forest Service, PTBA, American Trails, we all were kind of thinking the same thing. So we came together to create the trail competencies. So then in the last 6 years, I just wanted to share, we have seen this. So now we're using, and I'm going to go through a little bit of our process, but right now we're using the trail competencies for the Trail Skills Project, which I'll share a little bit about. It's being used for curriculum development. I saw Megan from Northwest Arkansas Community College on the call. She's one of our huge partners in terms of using the competencies as part of curriculum development. And then we created the Trail Technician 1 credential, also in partnership with Northwest Arkansas Community College, and working on these other things, so really kind of working towards the professionalization of the trail industry. And for us at PTBA, our motivator is we've seen a 400% growth in our industry, kind of based on our member company gross revenue, and as well as growth in the number of companies who apply and are accepted as part of PTBA. And they are telling us their biggest need is workforce. They need people to hire. So just in terms of our project progression, so we had this need. We knew the need was happening. The trails community had been talking about it for a long time. So then we organized our coalition of partners. And so we had a lot of the agency folks, universities, some of the national trails nonprofits, because we knew, we needed to get kind of buy-in from everybody about what those trail competencies would be, because they would be the foundation of so much. So we started working on the competency framework. We partnered with EPLI at Indiana University and did a study where basically the group drafted the competency statements, and then we put it out to the world and said, what do you think? Reached out to 500 plus subject area experts. It was pretty cool when you look at the kind of percentage of who responded, but also what I think is the coolest is the 16 to 20 years of experience are the people who gave us the most response. So we had definitely some experts giving us kind of validating what we had written. And so from that, we got the competencies. So this is all on trailskills.org, which is kind of our shared community of practice where all this lives. Broken it up into 5 different categories: construction, maintenance, planning, design, management, and administration. So like I said, all the elements of trails, getting trails onto the ground. We kind of had generic descriptions of the entry, full, and expert, but we knew this was important to kind of go ahead and define what does it look like, to meet this competency at an expert level compared to an entry level. So then our next effort after doing the competencies, getting those competencies validated, was doing the skill level breakouts. So we finished this up last summer. And so we have it's a lot of words that we have, but basically in every single one of the categories and every competencies, we have broken out what does it look like at the different levels. So I just wanted to share a few examples, but I won't be going through them. And then the next step was, how do we apply this? We have put words to what a lot of us kind of knew, but, it's really important about defining pathways. And so we're now using it as part of the Trail Skills Project. So on this website, people can create their individual profiles where they basically self-assess where they're at in terms of all those different competencies. And then it generates their online portfolio. They can add pictures, so it could be something they use to get a job. It also could be something they use to self-assess and be like, oh, I need to, like me, this is my profile. Like I should learn more about safety and site management, and then you can find training on the Trail Skills Project that also then links to those competencies. We also have a job description generator. So you basically can kind of click on the different things and generate a job description that you can cut and paste that is linked to the competencies. Like I mentioned, we've done this trail technician credential. So Northwest Arkansas Community College took the lead on this, engaged a whole lot of the industry and experts and using the competencies to create this multiple choice test that kind of tests the entry to full level in a bunch of the competencies. And we did this because, it was important for supporting the higher education programs. There's something to work towards. And then we're hoping it'll become a foundation for kind of those state and federal level apprenticeships. As field people, there's some pushback on multiple choice tests, and so much of what you do in trails is not on paper. But that's kind of a vision is to do something that has a field credential that goes along with it next. And then lastly, we're putting together a fundamental series of videos that then can be integrated with our higher education partners doing trail education that are also tied to those competencies. And so PTBA is taking the lead on this, and we've done the first one, and we're working on the next 5 this year. So just quickly, it's the rapid fire, but that's kind of what we've been working on. And again, it's just driven by that need. We wanted to have shared language, but then also have resources that could be used, to drive more programs, more education, more training for the next generation of trail professionals.
Erin, few people can distill years of work and revisions and feedback into 5 minutes, but you do it very well. So thank you very much. And now I'll pass it over to Curtis Hemmler at the RV Technical Institute, and we'll have some questions afterwards.
Well, thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, good morning, everyone.
Erin,
Yes,
if you could stop your screen share, that'd be great.
I'm trying, yeah.
Yeah, for 5 minutes, it would take me 5 minutes to figure out how to share my screen. So we'll just go straight to talking. But Erin did a great job. I can almost say that what she just presented is almost the exact same roadmap that we use. But my name is Kurt Hemmler. I'm the president of the RV Technical Institute, as well as the senior vice president of the RV Industry Association, which is where the RV Technical Institute sits up under. I'll start with kind of a little quick backdrop. If you're not familiar with the RV industry, we represent the manufacturers and the suppliers of the RV industry. Now, RV Technical Institute sits up under that as well, along with Go RVing and our government affairs and our self-regulatory team, which I also am responsible for. The RV industry is heavily concentrated out of one place geographically. That's Elkhart, Indiana. If you're not familiar, about 80 to 90% of everything that goes on in the RV industry happens within 50 miles of that location. What the industry was solving for 5 or 6 years ago is the need for more technicians, both at dealerships and mobile, out traveling around. We've enjoyed decades of rapid of excellent RV sales, and which is creating the need for more technicians across the country. Simultaneously, much like a lot of the trades out there, our population of technicians is aging out, and so you have the double whammy: no one coming in and people going out. So that's what we were solving for. We were set up as a 501c3, and this was the result of the RV Industry Association as well as the RV Dealer Association coming together with an initial $8 million in seed money to help get the thing off the ground. We just celebrated year 5, and I'm happy to report that we are just under 23,000 individuals training on our program or have become certified under our program. And we continue to grow at about 30% every year. A lot of things in your survey is exactly why I said yes to this job 5 years ago. I come from the education space of about 30 years, specifically VOTEC and career training in both K through 12 and post-secondary. So as I was brought into this, there was a thought that they were going to train everybody at Elkhart, Indiana. And I quickly said, if you're going to hire me, that's not the model. We're going to use a hub and spoke model. So to answer a lot of things that came up in that survey, the RV Institute was set up, and we are the hub. We followed the same path. We identified 89 tasks that these technicians must know to be able to perform their job with the help of not OSU, as we've been talking, but the Ohio State University help, and NOCTI. We put together the career path, which my big head is in front of it, but it is 4 levels of training, each of them carrying a credential that is recognized and accredited by NOCTI, and is something that I will tell you as we go into marketing it is very well desired by all institutions, whether K through 12 or post-secondary, for stacking purposes and such. The program itself is offered in multiple formats: in person, online, or hybrid. Back to the hub and spoke idea, about 85 to 90% of all of our training is happening across the country through currently about 45 what we call authorized learning partners. And these are dealerships. We have high schools. We have some community colleges. We have some traditional colleges. We have a prison system. So we set the program up in an LMS. We follow similar to the ASE model. If you're familiar with the auto and diesel mechanics, the idea that we own the test, we are the standard. The only difference is we also created the curriculum based on subject experts who came in and spent a year identifying those 89 tasks that a technician must have. Having it in the LMS allows us to dispatch it across the country, leverage other institutes' reach for workforce dollars, grants, and such. So we do not, RVTI specific does not seek those or receive those, but we do through our authorized learning partners, allowing us to deliver the program to them. They build upon it. And then I also use the rest of the industry, the dealers, the manufacturers, to provide the assets needed to teach the program. A way to address the faculty shortage is, though we are currently working on a level 5, which takes all of these retiring technicians that are aging out and puts them through how to be, obviously how to manage a classroom and how to become effective instructors. And then we dispatch them to our authorized learning partners to help them train the program. As far as marketing the program, we started a few years ago addressing the influencers, which in this case, I feel are the high school counselors. So we attend many of the high school counseling events, both in traditional high schools as well as ACTE and both VOTEC and career. And that has given us a lot of reach and scope into different institutes that are interested in teaching the program. I will finish with probably the one thing that we do, or we have the benefit of doing, is when you think about an RV, it's we focus on the house part. So there's 7 core systems in a house: electrical, plumbing, you know, appliances, things of that nature. And so when talking to high schools to help them solve their problems with trying to get other folks into trades, and obviously trades are sexier than they've ever been in a while. And so I offer our level 1 program, which is 40 hours to any institute for a student to take, and they will be exposed to all the trades. And then from there, they can make a decision of maybe they're more interested in electrical and what have you. So I think that's about it. I'll stop there. But that's us. Thank you.
It's such an impressive portfolio of work, and I love how proactively you've addressed many of the questions that came up in our survey and topics of urgency. I'd like to open it up to the audience for questions or comments about Aaron and Curtis's work. What stood out? What questions do you have for them? Joel, your hand's been up for about 20 minutes. I'm imagining you just in the back of the classroom holding your hand up, but it might not be accurate.
Yeah, that's a relic. Sorry.
It's all good. I do have a question for our speakers. For each of you, if you imagine your sort of 10-year time horizon, your measure of success, what does that endpoint look like, and how have your programs contributed? If you had to summarize that, starting with Aaron.
I mean, just to put it simply, we want people to know that there's a viable career in trails. Like we want the kids to know that there's a vibe and their parents to know. So I feel like we have a huge lift in terms of just getting that awareness out. And then what does it look like to have those jobs? So I think partnering with universities and community colleges, and other training programs is going to be, kind of how we get there because we don't have the reach, to do that, but we can create the resources.
Curtis.
I will say definitely what Aaron just mentioned is key. I find a lot of my time, started doing a lot of podcasting with different various groups on the skilled trades and that kind of thing. And the first 10 minutes is always just trying to explain how there is a sustainable career in what we do and how you can take it and use it for life skills and things of that nature. But for me, success is every VOTEC or career training school out there having our program in it so that the workforce is more localized for our dealers and folks around the country.
Terrific. Jenny, then Danny.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, Jenny Cordick with Main Outdoor Brands. I have a kind of follow-up question to that and a specific example for Aaron. So we just passed a $30 million trails bond last year in Maine. So we're ready to build a lot of trails here and have already identified that need of more workforce. And so that we're worried that's going to be our limiting factor in building trails. So our university is working on a micro credential on trail building right now. And maybe you're already connected with them in some way. Okay, good. That was one of my questions basically was like how just as different programs like the one we have in Maine are starting to build certificates or these training programs around trail building, like what does that look like for you all to work with them? So we do have kind of standards across the board and everybody's not going at it alone.
Yeah, as soon as I heard about that, I sent them probably way too many resources and links and
Nice.
offered to be a resource, and there's always, like every place is different in terms of the designing and the building trails, but every university is different too. So trying to help. But yeah, we've offered ourselves up as a resource and are excited to be part of that program.
Awesome. That's great.
Dan, I'm gonna have Lori go ahead. Go for it, Lori.
Sorry, I think I've got the video going here.
We gotcha.
Great. So I am kind of curious because Erin, you were just talking about the connection to the micro-credentialing that Jenny has in her program. Is there a pathway, I guess, to connect to some of the universities other universities for that right now. And I'm thinking like, for us at University of Wisconsin La Crosse, I know we have like a select few, a subgroup of students who might be interested in doing something like that as a micro credential, or even setting them up outside of their degree program to build that skill, because it's certainly something in our area that is the trail building is a very popular activity. We've got some groups that have been connecting with our students pretty actively and getting them to be involved in volunteering for trail building. I think the skill building, the specific skill set would be a really useful thing. So have you got some mechanism that you're using to kind of connect with universities right now?
Mostly, so when we start putting together the competencies and the skill breakouts, we had to decide like we're not curriculum designers, but we can definitely say like what does the industry need and what does this look like, when you have these skills. So I feel like that PDF that has all the skill breakouts, and then Megan can probably, answer even more so because she has used, all those resources to build an amazing program, and she's been also amazing about sharing kind of what they've incorporated and how it's worked within their program. So Megan, anything to add?
I mean, where would you like to start? There's so much, and I don't want to take too much time. Um, but I would be happy to have a conversation offline and share all of our resources and links and things.
And I'm also happy to talk to anyone trying to make it work within their program. We've seen so many different models because trails are like adjacent to so much. But yeah, it's super exciting. But I feel like for us, the foundation of having that skill breakout, the competencies, now the NOCTI Trail Technician Test 1, like we're building momentum so that universities have, if someone wants to start a program or a micro credential, they have resources and they can point to something, that's validated.
I will say just for our purposes, we began with the intent that we wanted it to be accessible to students. And so we built an academic credential that was financial aid eligible. So we went through all of the higher education hoops so that students could use Pell. But that also comes with a lot of bureaucracy and certain timeframes, and it's really hard to move quickly with that kind of degree structure. So we're seeing the need now for things like intensives and shorter micro credentials. The trick with those is funding because people have to pay out of pocket. And so just trying to navigate what that looks like within a structure that moves slowly with an industry that's moving quickly. So,
Lori, thanks very much for the question. Jeremy, and then I'll move on to close. Go for it.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Good.
Tying right into what you were just saying, Megan, I've been running the McDowell Tech Trail School for almost 3 years now. And we, with the other direction on doing short intensives, 2 to 5 day, very specific, whether it's just moving heavy boulders or building retaining walls or, all different types of stuff. But I did not somehow realize that the Nocti level 1 was released, and super excited to find out how to integrate that into our school. And in addition, we've expanded our school from just trail to all outdoor economy. So we have our, class building here in Old Fort, North Carolina, and we'll be doing all different types of stuff. So I'm encouraged to see this, the RV technician career path as well, and these other credentialed pathways that could fit right in with the workforce development side of education, which is where I'm at. And I think you're right, Megan. Like it can move really fast on this side because I'm writing my own grants and we're, funding our own programs. We don't have to jump through any other hoops. You create your program and immediately could run it 6 weeks later. So I am interested in talking more and catching up. It's been a while since we caught up, and seeing how we can maybe work together on some of that.
And I'll just share real quick with the group. What you were just talking about, Jerry, exactly is how we've leveraged the colleges that are using our program is it's through their workforce side. And then the local dealerships or folks that are tied to the industry, campgrounds, things of that nature, to help with funding, kick in scholarship or, apprenticeship type situations. It varies from school to school that we're using, but that's how we're solving for the finance part too.
Hmm. Nice.
First and Aaron, thank you for doing the encore. We, heard from you a few months ago, but then to have you back with this broader group is a real treat. And the work you're leading is super dynamic and transforming the industry as we know it. So thank you very much. I wanted to conclude with a couple open-ended questions that we've talked about as a steering committee thus far and see if it brings anyone forward who hasn't yet contributed. A big goal of the consortium is to advance policy opportunities, whether that be at the federal or state level. And so we asked this question of the group earlier, and a few of the responses that stood out to us were advancing outdoor recreation language at the Department of Labor, Department of Education, CTE programs, supporting the development of apprenticeships and career pathways for the outdoor rec economy, and increasing federal funding opportunities for outdoor rec workforce development. Do these really vibe with any of you, and or are there other particular policy opportunities you see as well primed for a consortium to take on? And if we're on target, that's great too. We'll also note the question that followed that one was what topics are highest priority for this consortium of colleges, universities, trade schools, and the outdoor rec workforce? And a few that were cited were taking stock of industry recognized credentials, like WFAs and WFers, for instance, for wilderness medicine, but having a complete list of all the credentials that can be acquired in the outdoor rec workforce. Highlighting emerging industries and workforce needs in the outdoor rec workforce. And then also to break down this big conversation we're having on workforce development into key topics, whether that be attraction to the outdoor rec workforce, or developing and training the outdoor workforce, or reskilling and retaining outdoor workforce, that work-life balance question that is so top of mind for many of us, improving partnerships between industry and education, and then core competencies. Um, on either of these questions, are there any things that, from your perspective, feel critically important to add or to focus on for this consortium? And I'll take the silence as that we're on the right track. I wanted to close by talking about next month's Outdoor Economy Conference. This is in Cherokee, North Carolina. Last year's edition was canceled because of Hurricane Helene's impacts on the state. So this is an amazing opportunity for outdoor recreation leaders like yourselves to convene in person. It will be the first in-person meeting of the Outdoor Recreation Workforce Consortium on the 15th in the afternoon. We have a room set aside. We're going to build on the conversation that we had today and importantly provide just some great networking opportunities between a bunch of really smart people in the outdoor rec economy. If you are planning to come to the Outdoor Economy Conference, make sure you let Corey know. He'll just be sending a reminder email out today, but we want to know who's going to be in the room so we can plan accordingly and make sure your needs are being met. So we're really excited to meet in person and build on the great work we've been doing so far. Danny, Corey, anything to add on our in-person convening next month?
Yeah, just if you haven't received the email for some reason, just drop it right in here or respond back to Corey via this meeting invite, and we'll make sure that you get it this round. So we'd apologize if we mistakenly left anyone out, but we'd love to see you there. More details to come.
Yeah, excited to see everyone.
This has been a huge pleasure to see so many smart people who are sustaining the outdoor rec economy through your workforce development programs. If you liked your experience today and want to meet more frequently as part of the steering committee, please let us know. This larger group will come together once every several months, but the steering committee does meet monthly as well as gets frequent updates as part of being a member of ORR. So we'd love to have you involved. And feel free to reach out if there's anything that stuck out today about our conversation or things that you feel like the consortium would be really well suited to talk about. We'd love to bring it forward. So on behalf of Danny and Corey and the whole consortium, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a great conversation. Thanks to Curtis and Aaron, and looking forward to a lot of great work.
For all those who are back to teaching that are in the faculty role, hope you have a great start to your semesters.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.